Brother Nero has debuted on SmackDown. What? Welcome to the WrestleTalk podcast review of SmackDown. I'm Joel P. Quinnell, joined by Andy Datson. And yeah, first things first that we're going to be talking about today is this bar fight between Sheamus and Jeff Hardy, where seemingly we've got Brother Nero back. It all started, it was a cinematic match, much like many others that we've seen so far. Sheamus walking in with his vest and hat and braces he's got on. Sure, it actually looked kind of cool. I'm into it, honestly. I think it's a really good look for Sheamus. But anyway, yeah, they both sit down together, he and Jeff, at the bar and just kind of chat before the fight gets underway. Yeah, it was really, really strange. Sheamus just being like, I'm looking forward to killing you, basically. And Jeff Hardy then cut a really strange promo and said that, you know, he's risen above all this addiction stuff, and he is now the bar himself.
Oh, he's a light bulb.
Yeah, he's that light. He's that TV over there. He is the bar, man. I was very confused by this promo. I didn't get it.
Yes. Well, the first thing I noticed was the name of the bar. I don't know if you saw it, but they clearly wanted to think, oh, how are people going to know that it's a bar that Sheamus goes to? And they just called it Irish Shannon's Bar. It's just okay, right. So the Irish Shannon's Bar. Jeff Hardy isn't there to start with. Sheamus is sitting on his own, wearing, as you say, a cool outfit, but that was just a what's a stereotype of a man in a bar in Ireland? Oh, I know, a white top, braces, a beard, ginger. Okay, cool. Jeff comes in like 30 seconds later. Yeah, starts talking utter nonsense to the point where you're thinking, maybe he has been drinking. Yeah, and he just kind of does a very Jeff Hardy 2020 promo, which is just a bunch of words. And Sheamus reacts as we all reacted.
Yeah, so, I mean, his promos about his actual addiction have been fine, when he's just like, you know, don't laugh at my problems, I'm going to overcome, I'm going to be a beacon of light and all this stuff. That's fine. But this one was just saying, I am this bar in front of me. And yeah, like you said, Sheamus's reaction, I think, was everyone's reaction to this. It's actually our SmackDown highlight of the week, getting straight into it today, because, good God, Sheamus's reaction to this, I think, was everyone's reaction to Jeff Hardy's promo.
I am this bar, man. What?
It's just his look beforehand. It's just, what?
Okay, Jeff.
Yeah, are you okay, buddy? And Andy has also created a little thing here to showcase that Jeff is actually that TV over there and those lights and that bar, man.
I'm so good at Photoshop, you could barely tell that I've actually edited that photo.
Exactly, yes. It was a work of art, really, yeah. But then they get into it. Jeff pours himself a drink, which Sheamus just reacts normally to, just like, oh, yeah, cool. It's like, yeah, Sheamus, that's a big deal. He's pouring himself a drink. And then, yeah, he throws the drink in Sheamus's face. Obviously, they start brawling and getting into it. And honestly, moral objections aside to Jeff wrestling a fight in a bar, not a huge fan of that. That aside for a second, I thought the match was really fun. I think they worked really well with the setting that they had. They didn't have that much room. It was quite like a small bar and like small corridors and like the bathroom and then, you know, the little hallway that they had. They didn't have that much to work with, but I thought they made some really fun spots with what they did. Aside from when they were in the bathroom and they used the stock toilet flushing sounds when Sheamus put Jeff's face into a urinal and like flushed it, and then they just put the most stock sound of a toilet flushing ever over the top of it. I thought was hilarious.
Yeah. I mean, the fact that they've got flushing urinals at all is pretty impressive. Like I've seen the ones that kind of clean themselves after like every 10th pee. But to have a urinal that is got a manual flush is pretty impressive. Yeah, But yeah, they could have worked. It was a bit like the Wilhelm scream, you know, the most used like sound effect in movie history. The sort of whoa!
Yeah.
When anyone dies. It was fun. It was silly. It was a cinematic match, and I didn't mind because the rest of it was just kind of. It was, like you said, moral objections aside. If you just forget that and think this is just a fun thing to watch, it was good.
Yes, and it got to a point where Jeff started hiding in a cupboard. Came out with a ladder because he's Jeff Hardy, so of course he has a ladder. Something we didn't mention actually at the start was Jeff actually mentioned Matt Hardy. Whoa!
He did. He said, no, he did. Not by name, just my brother.
No, my brother. He had to delete his WWE career and then did something else that wasn't really related to that. So I feel like they just wanted to throw that in there for no reason.
Matt is a barstool.
Yes, he is that barstool over there. But yeah, he starts using the ladder. There was a really cool bit when Sheamus was walking out of the bathroom trying to find Jeff that was hiding in the cupboard with the ladder. God, Sheamus is in such good shape. Like he was silhouetted from the light behind him on the bathroom, and he was walking. He'd taken his vest and his hat off at this point, so he just had like the trousers on at this point. And just the figure he cut as he was walking out the door, I was like, man, that is an imposing figure. It's a cool shot to have Sheamus walking out there. I thought he looked great. And then, yeah, they start brawling some more. Jeff gets thrown into a drum kit, and they cut to an ad break immediately, which I thought was great. Jeff starts coming back. He starts to climb the ladder to go for a swanton, and then the bartender gets involved and just starts beating up Hardy, which makes sense considering Hardy tried to kill the man on an episode of SmackDown.
Was it the same guy?
I believe it was the same guy.
It looked like a different guy to me.
It might have been. I wasn't really.
It looked like a different ethnicity. Was basically my.
Oh yeah, I didn't.
So
I didn't really know.
Just really good friends with all the bartenders.
I saw bartender and assumed it would have been the same one because I thought they would have kept that consistency. My bad. But yeah, anyway, the bartender gets involved, starts attacking a Hardy. Hardy puts him through a table, powerbombs him through a table, which was a great spot. But then Sheamus manages to smash a bar stool over Hardy, get him down, and he puts his hat over Hardy's face. And then instead of pinning him and winning, he goes behind the bar and pours himself a Guinness and then drinks that instead. And as it came back, they were really lingering on the shot of Hardy with his face covered. And I was like, it's going to be Brother Nero, isn't it? Probably going to be Brother Nero, right? And then he came back and he took the hat off, and suddenly he's got face paint on, and he's Brother Nero now. And he comes in and he's got the contacts in that make his eyes look super weird and freaky. And he gets up and starts wailing on Sheamus, climbs the ladder, hits a swanton, and wins. And then after the match, he kind of shuts his eyes and reopens them, and it's back to his normal eyes again, but with the face paint on. And then he walks off. Whoa! I thought it was quite fun. Honestly, I'm into it. If we can get Brother Nero in WWE, I think it could be interesting, could be fun. If they're really going to be pushing Hardy, which it was the reports before he returned, as Brother Nero, I think it could be an interesting character, especially if he's got kind of a bit of creative license over it as well. Granted, in like interviews and stuff, Matt Hardy has said that he was kind of the creative force behind the whole Broken Universe, and even getting Jeff on board with the Brother Nero character, Matt was kind of the main guy behind it. So whether Jeff is going to have that kind of creative spark to know, what to do as Brother Nero, who knows? But it could be fun. I'm quietly optimistic is what I am about Brother Nero. So, and I thought the match was fun, aside from, the actual fact it was at a bar with Jeff Hardy. But yeah, aside from that, I thought it was really good.
Yes. And dare I say it, felt like the end of this feud.
Careful now. Don't know if we can have that, mate.
It felt, well, I can't see. I cannot see. I mean, I know that we said this before. I cannot see where they're supposed to go from here.
I can. Sheamus is going to come out next week and say, Jeff didn't beat me. That other thing that was possessing him beat me. Jeff, you didn't beat me fair and square, fella. And whatever else he's going to say.
Oh, that was unfair because we were in a bar and that's Jeff's natural habitat. Yeah, you come and fight me in a pot of gold. I don't know. Irish things.
Yeah. I thought it was fine. And it felt worthy of the main event spot of SmackDown.
Yeah.
I thought it was good. But now we should probably talk about the rest of the show. So the show itself opened up, and I thought it was going to be the same as last week. When it first opened up, you had the little thing where you had Jeff Hardy cutting a promo. First words he said, I went, oh God, okay. It started off the show by going, my name's Jeff Hardy and I'm an alcoholic. I was like, oh, so we're starting here this week, are we?
Bold.
All right then. Yeah, and then it cut to Sheamus cutting a promo, and I was like, okay, cool. So we're going to get promos from everyone on the show talking about their stuff. Nope, just Sheamus and Jeff Hardy, which is a shame because I really liked that from last week where just everyone kind of got their word in before the show started. But hey, JBL came in. It was like, I know about bar fights. It's going to be great. And JBL was just like, oh, yeah, it's going to be so fun when Jeff Hardy starts drinking again. Lol, lol, lol. It's like, what? Stop it, JBL, you mean person. But the show proper actually kicked off with Banks and Bayley coming out and doing their great heel stuff. I'm super into Banks and Bayley right now. And I really, really enjoyed what followed this because it actually carried on the character work that they've been doing for Nikki Cross before Extreme Rules, which was one of the things that I said on last week's show. And I was like, I really hope that they follow through with what would happen to Nikki if she lost. And they are. I'm really into this character arc.
Believe it.
I know, yeah. So Nikki and Alexa came out. Nikki Cross's music played, not Alexa Bliss's. Little dig in there. That's step one. Yeah. Nikki came out and was very upset and just saying, you didn't beat me legit. You used me with, you know, the foreign object. My ribs are taped up. Yeah. Sasha, you stole that title, and Bayley, you don't deserve to hold that. I want another match, which was fine, you know, as babyface getting fired up. All good. Love it. And then Alexa Bliss just goes, Nikki, I don't think you should be doing this. Like, I don't think this is advisable. And I was like, ooh, tension. Okay, cool. Into it. And then Bayley, I think this was a masterstroke of booking, being like, yeah, sure, you can have another rematch. That's fine. All you got to do is you got to have a match. And I was like, oh, don't tell me they're going to do another match where Bayley sets up Banks to go onto it again. He's like, you got to face former SmackDown Women's Champion, future Hall of Famer, Alexa Bliss. And I was like, oh, snap. I thought that was a really, really smart piece of booking. Because then Nikki kind of looks at Alexa and they're kind of giving each other the side eye. And Nikki's like, well, got to do it. I just got to do it. I need to win the title. I got to do it. And then she just shoves over Alexa Bliss and then just storms the ring. I was like, ooh, I like this.
I like the brief hesitation, but not a lot of hesitation from Nikki's part. It was very much that she knew what she was going to do. She knew what she wanted. As soon as Bayley said it, I think she was like, okay, well, obviously I'm going to do that. But you could tell that she almost kind of wanted to make it look like she was thinking about it, but actually she knew. Yeah, I mean, the match that followed was nothing special, but actually it never really had to be, because this isn't really about the match. It's about Nikki Cross and her story. And actually having a consistent women's storyline, other than Bayley and Banks and Asuka and stuff, is really refreshing to have, especially when it's someone who isn't, I would say, stereotypically Vince loved by Vince. So she's short and brunette and Scottish. So foreign, not blonde, and short. That's a heel to me in Vince's book. But no, it's just really great to see, and it's lovely to see someone who, obviously, she was part of Sanity, R.I.P. Most of which. I mean, Killian Day's back in NXT. Eric Young's in Impact now, so it's good to see at least one part of Sanity is getting what that group deserved.
Yes, I thought the match itself, it wasn't anything special in terms of like in-ring technicality. I thought there was a lot of emotion behind it, which really lent itself to it. It was a very psychological match, and I really enjoyed the fact that there was shades of both of them working heel in the match, which I thought was great. At one point, Alexa Bliss was just repeatedly going after Nikki Cross's injured ribs. I was like, oh my god, Alexa, she's your friend. Stop it. But then at various points as well, like Nikki won with a heel tactic where she missed the flying crossbody and she was like playing up her injured ribs, being like, no, like Alexa like backed off, like concerned for her friend. She walked in towards Nikki and Nikki was playing possum, rolled up Alexa and got the win. I was like, oh, that's so smart. I really like this. Like both of them are just like, they don't want to acknowledge that they're being dicks to one another, but they kind of are. Like, and Nikki is just morphing into this character who's just obsessed with winning the title. And I don't know where it's going to go because now Nikki is facing Bayley next week for the SmackDown Women's Championship. I don't think Nikki's going to win, and I don't think she should, but I'm really curious to see how they're going to make her not win, because her whole story has been about, you know, I have to win. I have to do this. This is the only thing that matters to me right now. And they had a backstage promo just after this match where they were saying, you know, they made up. There was a little bit of tension still, but they made up. Alexa said, here's some water. And hey, I know you said last week that you don't get as many opportunities as me, but you definitely earned it for this one. So let's focus on next week and all that stuff. Yeah. And then, yeah, they kind of hugged it out and Nikki was getting excited for the match. But I'm thinking that next week, either Alexa turns heel and costs Nikki the match, which I think would be very interesting and it would make sense. Something else that would make sense is Nikki turns heel. After she loses again, perhaps Alexa comes out to try and help her and ends up inevitably costing Nikki. Or Nikki just loses and gets so frustrated that she takes it out on Alexa Bliss after the match. That could also work. I'm really invested in this story. Yes. I really like it.
I think there needs to be a heel turn. The only negative side effect of this is that it limits the women's tag division even more because there are like 3 or 2.
There's the Iconics and Banks and Bayley, right?
That's what you would be left with on the main roster yet.
Yeah.
In NXT, I guess there's Kai and. Oh yeah, well, Asuka and Kairi's saying, but
Kairi's going to be gone after Raw next week. So
yeah, I guess it's Dakota Kai and Raquel,
Raquel Gonzalez,
whatever her surname is now, on NXT, and I guess maybe they can fudge some other ones together. I mean, you're probably getting like Dana Brooke and Carmella, who are best friends.
I think you're forgetting the epic Raw tag team of Ruby Riott and Bianca Belair. Thank you very much.
Oh, of course, yes. I'm sorry. I completely, for some reason, that completely skipped my mind. Sorry.
Anyway, thoroughly enjoyed that whole segment, the arc that was through it. Thought it was great. Really invested in the characters. The one downside I have for this, and it is a nitpick, Corey Graves on commentary. God, he was annoying. Banks and Bayley were on commentary through the whole thing, putting themselves over, being great, and just having really good answers for everything. And then Corey Graves just goes, you know, I'd really like to see the Bayley-Alexa feud once again. Do you remember that time when you went to go hit her with a kendo stick and then you chickened out? I was like, Corey, stop burying terrible angles that happened before. And then Bayley kind of stuttered for a second because she didn't really know what to say back. And then she was like, do you remember the time that I hit you with a kendo stick? Because that could happen right now. And I was like, that's a good way to get out of it. But Corey, stop trying to bury your angles. Like, these are your top heels on SmackDown. Like, don't bring up terrible, terrible booking from the past that she did as a babyface. What are you doing, man?
I do generally phase out the commentary, and I have to say I didn't pick up on that. But yeah, especially as he is the heel commentator, that's his job. So coming in and going, I mean, you're a babyface, is just a bit weird. So yes, don't do that again, Corey.
Yeah, it was bad. After that, we got a quick recap of the swamp fight at the horror show at Extreme Rules at AOL.com. And then we got a Firefly Fun House promo where Bray was on the Firefly Fun House set. He was kind of speaking to the Lantern, the Bray Wyatt Lantern, just being like, I can't let you out again. Because the Lantern was doing his whispery voice thing, speaking to Bray. And Bray was like, well, I can't let you out again. You had your chance. Now it's his turn, talking about the Fiend. And he's saying, and he's been unleashed. Ooh. So if it wasn't clear enough from the swamp fight, probably going to be seeing the Fiend again soon.
At SummerSlam, which is where he debuted last year.
Yep, that was his debut match, at SummerSlam last year against Finn Balor. So that would be nice. If he can become Universal Champion again around then, that would be a nice little tie-up for his year, I guess.
I think so. For his babyface push.
Yes, babyface Fiend. Baby Fiend. After that, we got a quick match between Matt Riddle and Tony Nese. A match to get over Riddle's offense isn't the worst idea in the world. He has had 2 longer ones, though, which kind of used all his offense already. I just hope that this is kind of the only enhancement match that he has. doing one just to be like, look, he's really good. He can beat the lower card people quite easily. Here are the moves you need to look out for. There is big spots. It's not a terrible idea, so I don't mind it. And especially because afterwards as well, he got on the microphone. He won in about like 2 minutes, by the way.
Yeah. Just
did his big moves and won. And then he got on the mic afterwards and called out King Corbin, saying, I don't know how to do this because I'm new here, but I'm calling you out, bro, or whatever he did. I
don't like the whole because I'm new here. It's like, yes, we know you're new to SmackDown, but you did actually exist. You weren't born on the day that you were debuted on SmackDown. You have done this before. You've had feuds in other wrestling promotions and in NXT. So I don't know. It just feels like they're trying to reinvent his, like the whole I don't wear shoes because I got frostbite. And that whole thing, it's just like, you don't need to give Matt Riddle more of a character than the character he has, because first of all, his character is incredibly one-dimensional, which is fine for someone like Matt Riddle, because it's just,
that's all you need.
I'm a bro. Because
super chill guy that likes to do a wrestling.
And he likes to do wrestling. That's good. We don't need him to be like, oh yeah, I have weird toes that don't like the cold. Or the shoes make my toes hurt. And also, I've never been in a wrestling ring before. What do I do now? Yeah, it's just SmackDown writing, unfortunately. So hopefully they leave him alone now. Doesn't need more character work.
Not overly hopeful, though. Just from the fact that he called out King Corbin. Corbin came out and said, you don't belong here on SmackDown, etc. I'm so confident in that. I'm going to put a king's ransom on your head for anyone that can take you down. Tony Nese immediately went after him, and Riddle just kicked him in the head. So I'm hoping this doesn't lead to a load of jobber matches for him. I'm hoping it's more of a thing where there's loads of people that are trying to chase him backstage, and through the night we get him. He's constantly being assaulted by random people who come up to him and try and take him down, and he just beats them all up. I'm okay with that.
The 24/7 championship. You want Riddle to be the 24/7 champion. Is that what you're saying, Pete?
New title of the video right there. No, not that. But not a horde of people chasing him and him comically running off. I mean, someone comes up to him and tries to beat him up, and then he just kicks him in the head and throws him into a steel guardrail or something like that. Yeah. And he just beats people up and looks cool doing it. I'd be well okay with that. I just hope it's not like, you've got a bounty on your head, so here's someone. Here's unnamed enhancement talent to take you down. And he goes, bro, let's go, bro. And then gets in the ring and then just beats him in like 30 seconds, and then that's it. I don't want him to have matches. I want people to try and beat him up backstage. That's a difference. So hopefully that will be good. Riddle also had a terrible line about Corbin being the next special guest on the Bro Show. Don't make that a thing. That sounds awful. Don't do that.
Yes, exactly. That's the same. That's what I'm saying earlier. He doesn't need more character work. Don't give him a silly gimmick because he's Matt Riddle and people like what he does now already. You don't need to make him something that he really doesn't need and doesn't want to have.
Yeah, totally. After that, there was Miz TV with special guest Naomi. After Naomi blew up on social media this past week with Naomi Deserves Better, the hashtag, which came about because people thought that she was being mistreated because she lost to Lacey Evans in like 2 minutes, and because her whole feud is based around karaoke, which is awful, lest we forget Karaoke Showdown. But they had Miz TV. They came out, and my first note for this is I was like, if they belittle that Naomi movement, people are going to be so mad. Luckily, they didn't too much. Naomi came out and cut a really impassioned promo about why the fans have stuck by her for so long, despite everything that she's been through, all the essentially terrible booking that she's had. Fans have still stuck with her. And they said, this isn't the first time you've gone viral, because you did when you came out the Royal Rumble early this year. You went viral from that too. And she was like, yeah, so why aren't I a champion? And then Miz just brings the whole move right back down, just going, here's Lacey Evans. I was like, oh.
Was it what are your views on the whole hashtag? I mean, because like I get it's difficult. it's very difficult to talk about because unfortunately on social media, the moment you say, oh, well, to be honest, I'm not that big a fan of Naomi, you get a lot of people jumping on you saying, well, that's just because you're racist. And it's a difficult one to kind of to tiptoe around. But like, I like Naomi. I think she's a good wrestler. I think there are lots of people who deserve better. I mean, it's, you know, it's good that at least someone is getting this kind of social media push, because there are so many women in the back who don't get any airtime week after week after week. So to see someone getting it is really refreshing. Whatever, it's Naomi, that's cool. That it's her. And especially after the fact that this whole feud, as you said, is based off of karaoke, which is just embarrassing, not just for her, but for everyone, I think. Even like Lacey Evans, who's kind of the whole reason she's a heel now is because she lost, because that just makes her look like an idiot as well. Yeah, I don't know. It's a difficult one, but at least something is happening, and at least they're responding to it, not in a way which is, oh, we saw your hashtag, screw you.
Yeah, and in terms of the hashtag, my views on it, I do agree that Naomi deserves better, because I think as a vet of the company, as someone who's been there for 10 years, and as someone who has consistently shown to have a connection with the crowd, and supposedly that's all you need to get a push. Like, if you're over with the crowd, you're over with management. That's supposedly what it's supposed to be in WWE. And it's not really been the case. Every time she's been over, anytime she's been hot and trending, they might just be like, here's one match for you. And like, that's it. They've never really gotten behind her. They gave her a couple of SmackDown women's title runs, but that was like hometown pop at WrestleMania. You can have your title, but we're never really going to push you as the champion. That was all kind of the revolving door of women that just got the title consistently. So I think, now that they've actually got a solid women's division who are treated equally to the men, I think it's time that someone like Naomi, who is a very gifted athlete and has a connection with the fans, a chance to shine. Yeah, I don't disagree with the hashtag. I'm not saying that she deserves it over other women, but she definitely does deserve better than she's got. And
hot take, when you've got someone like her who's a veteran and you're like, well, she's a veteran, she deserves better. Like, but then you've got someone like Natalya, who, like, exactly the same way, you can describe as a veteran, but Natalya is my least favorite wrestler, I think, in WWE. She is so boring. And but they've pushed that, she's consistently pushed as this possible #1 contender and as this amazing wrestler. Then you've got these other people who are so much more interesting and have also been there for a long time, but have had nowhere near the amount of success or as push. I know that Natalya's got the heart link, which has been very useful for her career, because I think honestly without that she wouldn't be where she is today. So yeah,
you're gonna get so much hate on Twitter.
I know. I'm sorry. Do people really like Natalya?
Yeah, of course they do.
Sorry, I'm not a fan. I'm sorry. I'm sure she's a really lovely person. I just don't like her in-ring work.
Yeah, I think, like you said, there's much more people who are interesting than her. I think there's people who've got connections with the crowd much more than her. For example, Naomi. And that's all you really need. You need someone who's over to give them a push. And I think that's all that really matters at the end of the day. Anyway, that was a tangent. Yeah, Naomi comes out and says, people are still sticking by me. Lacey Evans comes out. Miz introduces Lacey Evans. She comes out and says, yeah, you've been in WWE 10 years. Not got much to show for it, though, have you? And then Naomi kind of snaps, just starts beating her up, and she smudges the makeup that she was doing in the ring for some reason.
Like,
not the lipstick, Naomi. God.
Is this a Naomi heel turn? I mean, is this a Lacey face turn suddenly? Oh, no, you just don't do that, Naomi.
Not the makeup. Great shot of Lacey being so upset about it, looking in the little, I don't know what they're called, the little makeup mirror thing that she's got that she's looking at her face in. I feel like there's a specific name for them. Can't think of it right now. Just looking at that, the lipstick she was applying has gone all over her face. It's funny stuff. Anyway, if this is going to lead to Naomi getting a big push and maybe ending Bayley's title reign, I'd be okay with that if they did that. I think if they push her properly as a legitimate star, rather than just like feel the glow and that's it, I could see people getting behind it even more than they are currently.
As long as it's not so obviously just as long as it's not really cheesy in the way they do this, and like I could just hear winning and then Michael Cole shouting, "Oh, and #Nese Naomi deserves better," and it's just kind of like, just try and make it as organic as possible, because she doesn't. You fine, you can riff off it for this week, but next week you don't want it to happen again. You don't want them to just every week for the next 4 weeks going, "Oh, by the way, #Nese Naomi deserves better."
I tell you what's organic. They've done it before, twice. Daniel Bryan, Kofi Kingston. It's stuff that people really, really, really wanted, and they kind of shoehorned them into stories where they were not building to, but they shoehorned them into stories anyway because it's what the fans wanted and went with it. Just do that with other people. It's all we're asking for is for our voices to be heard, and that's it. So if people like to get behind Naomi, then do something for her. She's facing Lacey Evans next week. If she doesn't win that match decisively, Twitter's going to be so mad. So mad. And I think they're just going to have even more social media backlash than they had before. Anyway, I think that's enough about that. We got a recap of New Day versus... I've written in my notes, New Day versus Big E. New Day versus Cesaro and Nakamura from Extreme Rules. Kofi Kingston walks out of the trainer's room going, "Oof, my ribs." And then tells Big E that he's going to be out for 6 weeks. That's pretty big. And then, really liked this, Kofi Kingston goes, "Hey, E, like, me and Woods have been talking about this for ages. It's your time as a singles guy. Go do your stuff, man, as a singles guy. Because, you know, for however long we've been together, you've been so selfless. You've been putting the group first. Like, when I had my WWE Championship stuff, you were so supportive. There was no shades of jealousy or anything. But now, there's no Woods, there's no me. Now it's your time. Go do it." And he was like, "I don't know, man." And Kofi was like, "No, just stop it. Just go be an awesome singles wrestler." And then they like hugged, and he was like, "I really appreciate it, man." I'm pumped. They're putting it over as a big deal that Big E's going to be wrestling as a singles wrestler. I'm excited for it now because they put it over as a big deal, and I bloody love Big E.
And I just can't believe this is the way he's turning heel. Like, it's just, no, it's really cool. Like, I've waited for Big E to be a single star for so long. Like, I really like the New Day. I've loved the New Day ever since they were created. But my God, is this overdue? Because the thing is, you can still have the New Day, and you will still have the New Day once this is over, I'm sure, or once this push is done.
Once Big E's turned heel and face again, yeah.
Yeah, Big E is such an imposing figure, and he's so good on the mic, and he's so over.
#Big E deserves better.
Exactly. I'm really looking forward to seeing what they do. I mean, even if it's next couple of weeks, he's just beating up a few enhancement guys. But for me, it makes sense for him to go after AJ Styles now that Corbin's going after, Riddle's going after Corbin. I think that'd be a really 100%. cool kind of eventual feud for Big E, and for him to win the IC title at, let's say, SummerSlam or whatever the next show is after that, would be really cool.
Yeah, 100% agree. And potentially foreshadowing that, as soon as that promo was done, AJ Styles' music hits, and I was like, I see what you did there. And AJ came out.
AJ Styles
came out to do commentary for the next match, which was a fatal four-way to determine the #1 contender who was going to face AJ next week, between Gran Metalik, Lince Dorado, Drew Gulak, and Shorty G. All right, yeah, I really like these guys. Sure, why not? Winner faces AJ for the IC title next week. It's a shame that Gulak has been relegated somewhat. Remember when he was on par with Daniel Bryan?
Yeah, I mean, it's because, do you know the reason it is? It's because Daniel Bryan's not there. And therefore they're like, well, Gulak can't have his own character.
Yeah. But this match, though, super fun. Super fast-paced, as you'd expect from these four guys. Super fast-paced, loads of really cool spots. AJ on commentary, I thought sounded really lost without like a scripted promo. He was just saying things. He was just like, is it Metalik?
Metalik?
Yeah,
I'm that ring over there. I'm that apron.
I am the bar, man. There was a really cool sequence I liked where there was a Gulak from Gulak into a really extended ankle lock spot from Shorty G, and I thought that was going to be the match. Kind of got the ankle lock. Gulak made it to the ropes, but he pulled him back, then locked in the grapevine. I was like, right, cool, Gulak's tapping. And then from out of nowhere, Lince Dorado just splashes onto him and just breaks it up, which I thought was great. And at that point, I was like, oh, well, I have no idea who's winning now. Yeah. And then after that, my God, Lince Dorado on the top rope. Shorty G comes up and just throws him to the moon and back off the top rope, just flying across the ring, back flipping out of nowhere, rolls out of the, through the ropes out of the ring from the impact of it. Was great. And then Gran just runs across the ropes, hits an elbow drop and pins Shorty G to become #1 contender. That came out of nowhere.
It did. Don't like elbow drops, but it did come out of nowhere. And he's not winning, but he's genuinely probably the second best luchador WWE has on their books. I mean, obviously you've got Rey Mysterio, but before he came to WWE, Gran Metalik was regarded as one of the best Mexican wrestlers in the world, and that's saying something. Unfortunately, you wouldn't know that if you'd watched WWE for the last 3 years.
You'd know it if you saw him in the Cruiserweight Classic. After that, though...
Yeah.
But he is great, and I'm actually genuinely quite looking forward to the match. I think if they give it a proper, 10-15 minute treatment, I think that would be really good. I would have much rather, though, that Lucha House Party got pushed in the tag division, because now that there's no Kofi, you run into the same problem as the women's tag thing. You've got Cesaro and Nakamura as champions. They have no one to face. Literally, the Usos, if they come back, that's someone. Miz and Morrison, they're heels.
The Forgotten Sons.
They're heels.
Otis is back next week. TV.
Otis is back next week, so Heavy Machinery, maybe, but they were advertising that the love story continues, so it's probably going to be an Otis and Mandy thing rather than a Heavy Machinery thing. Yeah, so I reckon it would have been better for them to get pushed in the tag division. Maybe this is a way for them to set it up. Maybe Cesaro and Nakamura come and cost Gran Metalik next week, and that's the way they transition to the tag division. I don't know. But yeah, either way, I'm still looking forward to that IT title match. And yeah, as I mentioned, Cesaro and Nakamura cut backstage promo saying, we're going to splat everyone in the tag division. I was like, who's that?
Yes, splat is a very threatening word as well.
It is, yeah. It's threatening when it comes from Shinsuke, okay? But yeah, we got a recap of the entirety of the Otis and Mandy storyline and saying that the love story continues next week. And yeah, then after that, it was the main event bar fight, which we've already spoken about. So that was the show overall. I thought it was pretty good. I thought that there wasn't really anything actively bad on the show. There was a lot of stories and characters that were furthered, stuff that I'm actually really interested in and stuff I'm looking forward to next week. Got a couple of title matches next week with Bayley versus Cross and with AJ versus Gran Metalik. I'm really invested in that Nikki Cross story, man. And Brother Nero coming back actually excites me for now. So I'm giving this a 4 out of 5.
Yeah, I would have said high 3, low 4 out of 5. So absolutely good show. And there was, compared to 2 weeks ago when we were crying about the karaoke, the last 2 weeks have been so much more bearable.
Oh, it's just so much better. Yeah, that'll be it for the SmackDown review. We now need to say thank you to some very special people, and those are our $25 and above pledge hammers on Patreon. If you haven't been to WrestleTalk's Patreon page, you should. There's loads of extra bonus content and loads of really cool stuff. Going into next month, we're soon going to be taking suggestions for the WrestleTalk Extra podcast for August. Ooh. So if you want to get in for that, you can pledge at the $25 and above tier. Speaking of the $25 and above tier, I always got that segue right. If you pledge at that amount or more, you get your own custom wrestling name, and it gets shouted out on a show much like this one. So thank you to Chris Hellfire Brimstone.
Oh, thank you. Well done, Chris.
And the cheap pop.
The ginger bearded wonder that's not Laurie, Peter Greaves.
Woo! Thank you very much. I'm Batty Man. Nathan Batty.
Lovely. Butter me up, Soren Nord.
Thank you very much. Please, sir, can I have some more Domhnall Begs?
Oh, yeah. The humble egotist, Danny Average.
Woo. Thank you very much. Living in the past, Kieran Pryor.
Oh, nice. I get it. Probably better than Kyle, Philip O'Reilly.
Ooh, that's a bold claim. He is pretty great. Jonathan, the Headmaster Headman.
Oh, wonderful. Manipulating Manny Umaria.
Hell yeah, thank you very much. Jordan, don't you dare call me Mountain Dew. Thank you.
And lastly, it's Xandermania Running Wild.
Thank you very much. And stop rolling your eyes. I'm going to speak to Ollie about that. Gonna have him have a word with you about that
he's
one.
On holiday. He's not here.
Yeah, till next week. Got my eye on you, Datsun. Anyway, that's all the time we've got for this episode of the WrestleTalk podcast. Thank you very much for watching, everyone. And please press the videos that just appeared on the screen to catch up with the latest awesome WrestleTalk things, and the button in the middle that make you become a pledge hammer on Patreon. I've been John with Peak I've been joined by Randy Andy Datsun, and that